So my first week, I learned how to do a coffee run. I learned how to answer the door, answer the phone, use photocopier, a lot of photocopying. All the programs had to be photocopied for Troilus and Cressida. Before I started on my second day, I'd already ushered for Troilus and Cressida, their first show. I'd met everyone in the office, hadn't remembered anyone's names. That took a while. Sandy, Leanne, Cynthia, Enver, Clay, Jake the other intern, Clara the other intern, and me were all upstairs. And then Liz and Kate would come in sort of afternoon after lunch, and then the rest of the production team would come and the actors, and that was the exciting bit. That's when I got to go down and watch rehearsals. So I was taken round the performing garage my first day, and yeah, those were the ropes. I was shown the ropes, and that was what went down. So over the next 3 weeks, I got to sit on the Troilus and Cressida rehearsals, which were really interesting because the show had already gone up and they were rehearsing before each show every night, changing small things. So it was really cool to see how the show had developed from one week to the next. And sometimes they'd be working on the same scenes, but they would be completely different from the last time I saw them. So that was really interesting to see. That was probably the most exciting thing in the first month I was there. And then after the first 4 weeks, the company went on tour to LA with the show, which is cool. And after they left, we did a big clean out of the office. So Leanne took control, and we found things from like the 70s, which was really, really funny. An old escape ladder from the 70s, probably wasn't much use, and strange vaporizer machines. And while everyone was gone, Leanne made us throw everything out, which was a bit sad, but it was funny. So I guess that was the day that rounded off my first 5 weeks there, my first month. On the 6th week, that was when the Wooster group was still away, and half straddle, they came and made work in the performance garage, so I got to sit in and watch them rehearsals. So that was probably something that was most exciting in my second month being there. And at the end of the month, the Wooster group came back, or the cast of Troilus and Cressida, and the core of the company began working on ideas for their next show, not Shaker Spirituals, because they already knew they were going to be doing that, but the show that would come after that. And they were interested in looking at how Pinter plays, so that was cool. We got to watch some old Pinter movies, films of his plays, so we saw The Caretaker and read different sections and just sort of generally talked about it. It was a good end to the month and they hadn't been there. So on my 9th day of being there, we carried on doing R&D on this new production they didn't know it was going to be, and we watched the film version of Fiddler on the Roof. So it was the story that inspired Fiddler on the Roof, and then we discussed the aesthetics of it. It was a very sort of strange film, very overdramatic, but that was definitely a highlight of the R&D process for me, and being able to join in that conversation. So on my 10th, 11th, 12th day, that was really exciting because I started working on the Shaker show, Early Shaker Spirituals, and it's directed by Kate, so that was really interesting to see the different dynamic between the way Liz directed and the way Kate directs, and just having a sort of different leading voice in the room. Even though Kate was very, very vocal when they were doing Troilus and Cressida, it felt very much like a co-directed thing. But Kate was in it, and this time Liz is in the Shaker show. But it was really, really cool to see the beginning of the process, and Frances McDormand was in it, so I got to meet her and talk to her, and she is one of my favourite actors. So yeah, I had a chat to her about all the different Coen brother movies she's doing. So the beginning of this last month, I actually did loads of flyering and promoting for Shaker Show and also Rumstick Road, which is an event that Clay was organising. And Rumstick Road is a film which is made up of a reconstruction of the 1970s production they did, Rumstick Road. And it's a really, really amazing film. I got to watch it, which was really cool. But yeah, I was mostly just flying for that this week. Had to go to Chelsea, do loads of flyering, got to see loads of cool art galleries, which was great. Also had to fly for Alice Shakers. So I did get to see a bit of rehearsals as well. Went to go in and watch the Shaker rehearsals and see how that was coming on. Yeah, I got to see everyone working on it. It's especially interesting to see Liz in an acting role rather than a directing role. That's really interesting to see that different dynamic. So these last few weeks have really just been that everyone refining Shaker, and it went up last week, which is really cool, and it looks amazing, and I definitely prefer it to Troilus and Cressida. I suppose some things which have stuck out that I've done in this last week were having to find some socks for an actress. There had to be stockings, Sheen stockings, and she is a black woman, and I was so surprised because there are hardly any stockings for black women. There is not as much selection, and I was quite infuriated. I had to go to so many different shops, and I couldn't really find the right pair, and I think she was irritated as well because she didn't get her right socks. So that definitely says something to me about society and the way the markets are run. But yeah, I guess that stood out to me as something that happened in this last month. I think those are the important things I need to put in my timeline. I think I put everything in of significance, and this will be a nice way for you to remember exactly what I did during my internship.